Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. So great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we're here to talk about Spygate. You guys have been at the forefront of uncovering a lot of things. Where are things at the moment?
Well, you know, it's getting more complicated. We have other documents that show through our Freedom of Information Act lawsuits that the State Department was helping orchestrate a lot of the dossier-type allegations against the president, pushing it with the Justice Department and the FBI, coordinating with Congress. And then I think an underreported aspect of this is the international aspect of the effort against President Trump. The evidence is you had people in the United Kingdom maybe involved, in Australia, obviously, that infamous Australian diplomat, and maybe even the Italians in some way. So it was really international in scope, the effort to keep President Trump out of office and then harass him once he was elected.
Can you be a bit more specific on the State Department? What did you guys uncover exactly?
Well, the dossier was being pushed through Jonathan Weiner, who was an official in the Kerry State Department, working with Victoria Nuland, her superior, who was a senior official for the State Department on European affairs. They were not only working with Steele directly and Glenn Simpson directly, who ran Fusion GPS, but also working with Steny Hoyer, who was at the time the incoming majority leader for the House Democrats on this whole Russia Gate information. They were pushing information to him, and then other documents show they were trying to get classified information of all types out to friendlies in the Senate, again, to undermine President Trump.
Wow, it just keeps expanding, doesn't it?
It does. It's not, you know, we have to understand the Justice Department and the FBI has been kind of the key areas that people have worried about in terms of the agencies. But you had the NSA involved, you obviously had the CIA involved, the Office of Director of National Intelligence, the Defense Department had a big contract with Stephen Halper, who was the spy used to target the Trump campaign. So even the Defense Department was involved in the effort to take down Trump. It was all hands on deck for the Obama administration in terms of going after Trump.
So it's sort of remarkable that they did not succeed in what they set out to do, don't you think?
It is remarkable. But they thought they could win. And once they lost, they thought they could try to remove him from office by continuing this smear operation suggesting he was a traitor when in fact they knew there was no such thing.
Absolutely. So you have called this a coup.
You know, if we had information, they admitted it. They were talking about using the 25th Amendment to remove the president. The 25th Amendment is not to be used to remove the president because you disagree with his politics or you don't like the fact he fired someone. And they were talking about wearing a wire to try to get the president and trap him. They're talking about indicting him and removing him. And if you had generals and colonels talking about removing the president of the United States in such a way, what would you call it? You'd call it a coup. But here we had DOJ and FBI officials, and the media has been slow to suggest that was inappropriate. Well, it would have been appropriate if the Pentagon talked about it. It certainly was inappropriate if the FBI and DOJ talked about it. And if the Pentagon talked about it, there'd be no doubt everyone would be calling it a coup. And in many ways, the coup is going to continue this week with the Democratic effort to bring Mueller in to try to smear the president more directly.
So for most people who've been following this story, the question on their mind is there going to be accountability? Is there going to be any accountability for this? What is your take on that?
Well, there has to be more accountability. That's what we do. We file lawsuits to try to get documents and get some accountability. Hopefully the Justice Department does something serious. But look, if left up to their own devices, no one will do anything. And that's why citizens have got to demand action. That's why Judicial Watch is demanding action and doing what it can do under the law to try to get accountability. The agencies won't do anything without pressure. And you know, and the president, he should be as aggressive as he can to demand accountability within the law. That remarkable, he's not given enough credit for firing James Comey. I mean, that was a great victory for accountability. Firing someone who had no business running the FBI because of his bias in politics and abuse of power.
So based on your research and that of Judicial Watch, how high up did this go? What was Obama's knowledge of these investigations? Do we know anything about it?
Oh, there's no doubt the Obama White House was running the show on this. The text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page show the White House wanted to know everything. There's an infamous meeting in the White House, the Oval Office, involving Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Susan Rice, James Comey, I think Brennan was there, where they talked about the dossier and going to ambush President Trump. He was about to become president with it. Obama knew. There's no doubt about it.
That raises a lot of questions.
Well, as I said on a stage today, we're going to have Mueller under oath. We should have Obama under oath.
If you could ask Obama 3 questions, what would you ask him?
Oh, that's a tough one. What and when did you know about the dossier? I mean, that's the key one.
Why is the dossier so important? So that all of our readers
because it
understand?
wasn't true, and yet they used it to justify a spy operation on President Trump. Look, it simply ain't done targeting a presidential campaign with spying. And Obama did it, and he needs to be asked about that. And the media's just refused to do it because they're protecting him. I mean, one of the other scandals that is rarely talked about is the media involvement in this coup cabal. They happily publish classified information illegally leaked to them, so making them witnesses at least to the crimes, maybe even part of the crime. So the media has been just terrible.
And then there's the whole international part, like you mentioned it earlier. Obviously, Christopher Steele himself was a former MI6 official. He was talking with a lot of former and current officials. It seems like this was a multi-country, international operation to stop Trump.
Sure does, and that's something that needs to be investigated further. There's a new government in the United Kingdom. Maybe Boris Johnson will start turning over documents to Judicial Watch.
Well, we've asked.
Okay, well, we'll see. Tom Fitton, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.